Hey, happy Thursday, and thanks so much for joining us here on 90s Plus. I'm meteorologist Chris Bianchi with a detailed look at your Colorado weather forecast. Now, for your day today, the big story is going to be very high fire danger, gusty winds, and an exceptionally dry air mass. I'll explain a little bit more about why today is a bit different from some of the other days that we've been talking about in this very dry and windy stretch in just a moment. But first things first, kind of want to show you outside and what we're looking at right now. Now, a lot of sunshine for us here in the Denver area, but you might notice off in the distance there's just a little bit of smoke, a little bit of haze out there. That's thanks to some gusty winds that are kicking up some dust across the Front Range. Now, those winds will continue to pick up as we head through the rest of your day, and that'll lead to our big weather story, which is that high fire danger for your Thursday. So, again, strong winds today. That'll lead to increased fire danger, and will also, by the way, keep us a bit cooler, noticeably cooler than yesterday. We hit 90 degrees yesterday for the first time this year, and it was, by the way, tied for our fifth earliest 90-degree reading on record here in Denver. Red flag warnings in place throughout the state, or throughout most of the state, I should say, with those winds that could gust on up in excess of 50 miles an hour in the foothills in Denver, probably around 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts, and you couple that with a very dry air mass, and unfortunately that red flag warning and that increased fire danger will be with us through the day here on your Thursday. Now, HD Doppler radar showing some showers and thunderstorms just off to our north and just off to our east, so along I-80 in Wyoming and around Cheyenne, Wyoming, as well as out by Goodland, Kansas. There's some showers and storms, but it just seems like Mother Nature has something against us here in Colorado, because we are just missing these showers and storms once again here on your Thursday. But we do have some chances next week for some rain, but in the meantime, unfortunately, it's going to stay dry, and it's going to stay mostly dry and also on the warm side. Now, winds gusting right now. This will be our big story through the day today. Already at 52-mile-an-hour wind gust out at Colorado Springs. Same for us into Lyman, and then you get into the mountains, 20, 30-plus mile-an-hour wind gusts up into the mountains as well. Closer look in here at the Front Range. Those winds just starting to crank on up here. Now, kind of an interesting setup that's going on right now here along the Front Range. What we are looking at is we've got a little bit of a bulge of dry air. It's just the south. It's reached us in Arapahoe County and just south of 225. But out at the airport, DIA, we're still fairly moist. Got a dew point of around 50 degrees at the airport right now. That is also suppressing some of those winds. So very big difference in terms of what you're seeing on the south side of the metro area right now versus the north side. Very big difference on either side of I-70 right now. But trust me, those winds and that dry air will be reaching us across the entire metro area over the course of the next couple of hours. Now, those winds do crank on up. In fact, I'll slow this down for you a little bit here and show you what we've got coming up here over the next couple of hours. In Denver, I think those winds will peak around 40 to 50 miles an hour. Depends on which side of I-25 you're on. If you're west of I-25, probably closer to about 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts for us out that way. Boulder, you get on up into the foothills, perhaps closer to about 60, 65-mile-an-hour gusts as you get up in elevation a little bit. Already seeing some gusts up by Berthoud Pass, much stronger than that. Good news is those winds really do lighten up overnight, and then tomorrow it's more breezy than windy. You'll still notice the winds out there a little bit tomorrow, but it shouldn't be nearly as bad as today, especially for our friends in the foothills, where today's event is more of a downslope mountain wave type of event. And what I mean by that is it tends to lead to stronger winds for the foothills. Tomorrow will be just kind of a little bit of widespread blustery conditions, not nearly as bad for most of us statewide. Current drought conditions. Statewide, unfortunately, the new drought monitor is out, and we saw a pretty big jump in drought coverage across the state with our most recent update. We're now up to about 60% of the state that is in severe or worse drought conditions as of this week's drought monitor update. Unfortunately, that will probably only get worse as we head over the next few days with no meaningful moisture in sight. Now, the other story, temperatures. We do have 60s and 70s for the most part on the eastern plains. Few spots, though, in the upper 80s in the far eastern plains, but most of us, again, 60s and 70s right now. Mountains, 40s and 50s for the most part. Now, current dew point right now here into the Denver area. What a fascinating map. It's 48 degree dew point, and the higher the dew point, the more moisture you got in the atmosphere. The lower the dew point, the less moisture you've got. Look at that between Colorado Springs and Denver. That is unbelievable. You got a 54-degree spread in dew points between Denver and Colorado Springs, separated by what, 75, 80 miles, an actual distance there between those two observation sites. But again, totally different air masses right now. That will change, unfortunately. Denver, Greeley, Sterling, those dew points will plummet in the next 2 to 3 hours as we get that surge, that kind of little bulge of dry air that will work its way off to the north and east. So again, Denver, Greeley, look out for those drier conditions to work their way into our region as we head over the next few hours. Today, temperatures top out in the mid-70s. That's not the big deal. What is a big deal, the very high fire danger that will continue throughout the rest of our day. And in fact, red flag warnings will continue into the evening hours. So again, just keep in mind, nothing with a spark outdoors. If you live in a fire-prone area, you've got a big grass backyard, for example, or big, you live near that kind of urban wildlife interface, you got big fields nearby, you might want to have that go bag ready to go, because again, we could be talking about, again, that increased fire danger that will be pretty pronounced for your day today. A bit of good news I will pass along is today looks to be the last day of really high fire danger for the next little while, as we do have lighter winds for your Friday, Saturday, and your Sunday. Highs today, 70s and 80s for us on the eastern plains, 50s and 60s, generally speaking, on up into the mountains. Tonight, temperatures drop back into the upper 40s. Winds lighten pretty quickly after dark, but sunset after 8 o'clock now, so we may have to wait until about 7 to 9 o'clock to get those winds on the lighter side, but those temperatures do drop into the upper 40s for us tonight, so fairly nice evening once we get past some of those gusty winds earlier on in the evening. Again, 40s, 50s eastern plains, 30s and 40s on up into the mountains. And then tomorrow we'll warm on up. That'll be the start of a warming trend as we get into the upcoming weekend. But again, the winds will be a lot lighter tomorrow. So that is good news. Fire danger will be considerably lower tomorrow compared to today. So again, one more day of really high fire danger today. Tomorrow, it won't be nearly as bad as, again, today. Wind still a little bit breezy for your day tomorrow. We'll have higher dew points. Again, that means more moisture for your day tomorrow, and a high temperature right around 76 degrees. And then that 7-day forecast, we're back into the 80s for Saturday and Sunday. And this is a forecast that we'd normally be talking about, what, mid to end of June. And here it is the middle of May, and we're talking about widespread mid-80s. But some good news to pass along is by the middle to end part of next week, it looks like we get some pretty reasonable chances for showers and storms finally back in the picture. I do think that by the end of next week, hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm literally doing it right now, we are actually going to be talking about some meaningful rain chances here in eastern Colorado. We desperately need the moisture, and it does look like we get some chances for showers and thunderstorms by the mid to end part of next week. So some good news to pass along there. The other bit of good news I'll pass along as well is that, again, today is the last day of really high fire danger through at least the upcoming weekend. There will still be some elevated fire danger for us this weekend, but it won't be nearly as pronounced as today. So again, be smart out there, folks. Nothing with the spark outdoors. Nothing with a spark outdoors at all. And then we get past today, I think we do see some meaningful improvement in those fire danger conditions over the next few days. Meteorologist Danielle Grant has an update coming up at 9 News at noon, and also Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin in at 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10 on the 9 News family of networks. I'm meteorologist Chris Bianchi. Stay safe out there, stay smart, and have a great rest of your Thursday.